Hey everyone, my name is Rachel, and I'm going to guide you through a meditation that you can go through after an interview. If you don't know how it went and you're all guessing whether it went well or where you might have tripped up, this is a great moment to take a step back and regroup and reflect. And you can have some constructive learnings, but just refinding your center and confidence. And we don't want you to spiral in, second guessing all the things that you said. But we want to be healthy in the way that we can move forward and learn from the experience. So take a comfortable seat, and you may want to have a pen and a notebook just in case you have thoughts that come to you. But this can be either close your eyes guided meditation, or you can treat it like an active reflection. But I want you to take a moment and start by just taking some deep breaths. You had your interview and it's done. So you can be proud of that. You can breathe that sigh of relief. It's out of the way. And it's a learning experience, no matter what. So that's valuable. And the fact that you had an interview at all is amazing. It shows that you're getting traction. So I want you to start to reflect on all the positive things that we can take away from the experience. All of the things that either you think you did well, or maybe there was some validation and affirmation that maybe you were in the right place. Were you talking about a role or a team or some work that really aligns with you? What was positive about the experience? What do you think went really well that you can acknowledge, and something you want to do again next time? And this could relate to what you did well during the moment and during the interview, or prior to the interview. How did you set yourself up for success? And was there any processes that you did that really panned out in a way that helped you be comfortable and helped you to be confident? So take a moment and just reflect on all the good that happened and all the good that you portrayed and all the good that we can take away from this. So take a few minutes and just brainstorm. And if you can, write these things down, because it's probably a longer list than you realize. And you can be really open-minded. Maybe you spoke clearly. Maybe you gave stories that were defined and detailed enough. Maybe you remembered to tell results and metrics. Maybe they reacted with some positive energy and they loved your stories. Any and all positive things that you can recognize. Take a moment and capture all of that good, positive elements of this experience. And if you haven't already, document what you want to make sure to do again. So if anything went really well, what should that mean for your interview processes and preparation going forward? And capture any positive emotions. Maybe you were excited, maybe you were energetic, and maybe there was some healthy positive nerves because you really were happy to be there, and happy to discuss that work and that opportunity. Any positive emotions. Maybe you're proud and grateful. Maybe you're excited about what other opportunities may come that could be similar. Maybe you want to think about how you landed this interview in the first place and keep driving traction in whatever way that worked to land you this opportunity. And we're going to move to the constructive side of things. Now, this isn't to beat yourself up. What this is meant to do is to be a healthy, constructive way so that instead of assuming you didn't do great, we can actually get specific on what you think you can do better in the future. And so that way you're not generalizing this negative feeling, assuming that, you didn't do well. But let's get really specific with how to improve for the future. So let's think about your preparation process. What happened right before the call, in the few minutes prior, or the hour prior, or even the evening prior? And what even happened in the few days and the week prior? How did you prepare? And what do you think you can do better in the future in terms of your preparation process? So let's just reflect on that before we move into anything else. And if you haven't already been practicing out loud, that's such a huge benefit to prepare for interviews and build your readiness. The next thing you want to reflect on is how can you handle questions better in the moment? So there's the upfront preparation, and then there's during the conversation. So what can you do differently during the call itself that will help you go slowly and really think through your thoughts and make sure you're answering the questions fully with the right amount of detail? What are some gut reactions that you're having about what you can do better during the conversation itself? And are there any other strategic reflections? Maybe you felt like it wasn't the right interview conversation to be in the first place. Was it the right team, the right role, the right function, the right level, the right industry? Was there any other reflections about what the conversation was rooted in and how this could affect your direction? Did it give you clarity on where you best fit in the workplace, and can you adjust for the future? And was there anything you felt like you left out? Was there details or stories that you could have added more clarity or context to? Because don't forget, it's not just the before and the during, but there's an aftermath to this process. You can send a thank you note, and of course, you can follow up. And those emails are a great opportunity to add anything that you were missing in conversation and really just add and fill in the gaps and add any context that you need to add. You can get creative and you can really stand out in those follow-ups. So is there anything you might want to share via email with your interviewers or the recruiter that was handling this so that you can make sure that they really know that you had those answers? You might have just not communicated it perfectly in the moment. What else might you want to add in your follow-up emails? I'll ask you a few other reflection questions that might help. Ask yourself if you paused before you started speaking. This is a habit we often don't always do. But it's so important to get in the habit of doing that. Did you pause before you started speaking? And if not, that's something really important to practice. Did you ask clarifying questions? Do you feel like you fully understood what they were asking you, or could you have clarified their question? Did you organize and structure your thoughts? It's often very hard to do, but there's ways that you can practice doing that. Do you feel like you were rambling or you were organizing your thoughts? Do you feel like you were comprehensive? It's not easy to be comprehensive and concise, but did you leave out key information? Again, we're going to figure out what to do about all of this. We just want to diagnose what wasn't feeling as strong and what could that mean for your prep in the future. Did you give relevant stories? Were you able to really drum up your memory in terms of all the project stories that were most relevant to that role and sharing those? Think about your pace. Were you speaking too quickly? Is it possible to slow down? How was your tone and your energy? Were you sounding energized and enthused? How was your tone coming across? Were you feeling distracted or focused? What interview questions do you feel you need to practice more out loud? What interview questions were you not sure how to approach? Were you able to approach questions where maybe you haven't done that exact task before, but you were able to handle that question well? Or is that something you want to practice more? How was the length of your answer? Were you rambling for too long, or were you speaking maybe too short or too quickly? Finding that right length and that right amount of information to give. Were you following the STAR method when you gave a story? How did you feel? What do you think you can do immediately prior to the next interview to make sure that you enter that conversation feeling calm, focused, ready, and confident? Did you have strong questions prepared to ask them? Were your questions well thought out? Did you make it conversational? Were you building rapport? Were you acting authentically? Did you prove your knowledge and understanding of their role, their team, their company, and their industry? Did you prove your genuine interest and your fit? Is there any areas you could get some support from somebody else in your life to practice and prepare better for next time? We reflected earlier on your fit and your direction and whether this informed, whether you have other roles that you want to consider, but don't just consider role, consider industry and even the work environment and the culture. Was there anything about the role or the industry or the culture that you felt like was either super aligned or not as aligned? And what is that going to mean for your future job search efforts? Were you clued in by their questions to understand skills that they're looking for that you may not have yet? Does that help you understand any upskilling opportunities that you could pursue? There's so many other things we could reflect on, but just make sure to give yourself a moment to get specific. Really identify what you want to improve on and what you did really well and what that means for your next steps. Remember that job search is a roller coaster. It's got ups and downs, and it takes patience, persistence, and resilience. So take a break. You just had a great interview. Take a breather, take a walk, and give yourself a moment of self-care before you energize yourself to come back to the job search with gusto. You don't want to just come back to it feeling drained. So it's okay to refill your cup a bit and use this meditation as a way of being constructive and channeling that energy to see what you can improve for the future. Don't just assume you didn't do great. And just don't forget, you can always follow up with those emails to fill in the gaps if there was anything you missed. Check out more from us at IamWoken.com.